right, good morning. Whoa. Good morning, everybody. Nikki Burnett here, Taste Life Nutrition. This is Taste Life Nutrition Radio, streaming live on KUHSdenver.com with the amazing Henry in the back taking care of us. And today we have an amazing guest. I'm super excited about, let me turn my music down. Super excited about having Jennifer Lyall. Did I say your last name correctly? Awesome.
You got it.
So Jennifer Lyall, this is going to be such a fun show because it's so outside of anything I know anything about.
Love it. I love it.
So I love to learn. I love to bring on amazing, unique guests. And so if you haven't seen the show yet, what we want to bring, we talk about healthcare, and healthcare is such a broad topic, so much involved in health and wellness. It's mind, body, spirit, it's physical, mental, emotional. It's what we eat. It's the air that we breathe. It's, as you said, it's, walking in the grass. There's so much to health and wellness. And what we really want to do is just, to the very best of our ability, is bring you truth. We want to bring you the truth, whether it's in science, whether it's personal to you. There's so much confusion in this world around what is best for everybody. And what I have found to be really the one truth in health and wellness is everybody's different, which makes it hard, but that's okay. Everybody's different. They should be treated as such, and you should know that about yourself, because one thing that works for one person may or may not work for you or for me. So we always start the show with gratitude, and I'm excited, Jennifer, to hear what you are grateful for today. There's so much to be grateful for. I think it's important to start our day with gratitude. I do that, try to do it every morning in my prayer meditation time, and just be so grateful, because it really takes the mind to a different place. So Jennifer, jump in. What are you grateful for?
I'm so grateful for my son making me a cup of tea.
Oh.
I'm so grateful for my husband's hugs. I'm so grateful for not having to do dishes all this week because I'm doing a juice cleanse. It is so delicious. And I'm so grateful for the beautiful, nutritious food that is available at the farmers markets in our community and the juice bar in my community too. So lots to be grateful for.
I love that. It's really, so often those are the things that we don't often think about. It's the simple things. We think, gratitude has to be this big, I'm grateful for my life and for my home and, and all of these things we all should be grateful for. But the small things that make us happy is huge. The small things are huge, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What am I grateful for today? I was thinking about this earlier, and, I find that I'm, so we're in a situation where we have someone in our family who is on their way to passing. And I think I find gratitude in just knowing these people, right? And knowing these people, well, I did not expect to tear up, but, knowing these people and the amazing impact that they make on my life, the support, all of the goodness that these family members have shown, right? Anyway, so super grateful for family and for life, and the afterlife. We know where he's going, and that's a good thing. So I think that's what I'm grateful for today. So okay, Jennifer, let's jump in. Let's have some fun with this. I'm so excited. I know we didn't talk about what you do, because I want to let you talk about that, because you're going to say it a heck of a lot better than I am. And then we're going to get into the nitty gritty of all of the goodness that you do.
So I'm an intuitive business mentor and chief energy optimizer. And if somebody had told me a decade ago that I'd be doing this work, I would have told them that they were crazy, because this is certainly not what I studied in high school or university or anything. I feel like I really want to share my shared passion for finding truth.
Yeah.
I actually started my business with a video podcast back in 2008 called Vitamin Junkies. And I co-hosted it and co-produced it because I was feeling so alone in my journey to wellness. I was a mom. I was passionate about wellness. I had done my first detox just after I finished nursing my first son. And as I was doing that detox, going into the cupboard, looking at all the crap in the food that I was eating, I was like, holy crap. And at that moment, looking at that can of Campbell's soup, looking at the ingredients, it's like, I've been eating this my whole life. And I'm responsible for the health of my family now. And it took me in a totally different trajectory. So I started the video podcast. Well, first, before that, I had a mom's group called Healthy Moms Connect because I didn't have any friends who were on the same path as me. So I started this mom's group and where I brought local speakers in, and then did my own video podcast to spread the word of why we need to be proactive about our health. And my intention was that I wanted to be kind of like Oprah for health and wellness. But podcasting was new. The wellness world was just starting to open up in 2008. And so I wanted to have advertisers in my podcast and have a part-time gig while my kids were off at school, but it didn't quite turn out that way. And I would be really frustrated at, I'd be going to these wellness shows trying to connect with potential sponsors, and there'd be such lack of integrity with a lot of the companies. I remember one company who had this beverage for kids, and it had this crayon colors, like big bold colors, looking like it's like a good product. But it was crap, and it really frustrated me. So that was the passion that wanted to come through. So I tried my darndest with this podcast, and I tried a few other things, corporate wellness, and got some momentum there. But 2008, we all know what happened in 2008. So after a couple of years, I just said, I'm tired. I'm tired of beating myself up. And so I came to this place where I just sat on my couch, and it was 6 o'clock in the morning, pitch black outside, March 2010, and I gave myself permission to figure out what made my heart sing. And it was in that journey that all of these crazy spiritual things started to pop up for me. And I had something called an Akashic record reading, a soul reading, to help me get some insight as to what I was really meant to do when I grow up. And then it's expanded from there. Just an incredible journey of diving into spirituality, learning about meditation, dowsing, crystals, automatic writing, receiving instructions for my own modality, and then finding the courage of discovering what my truth was, and then standing in that truth.
That's amazing, and I love that. And I think it's always so interesting for a lot of us, men and women, when we talk about what we want to do when we grow up. I was, I think, 40 when I started to figure out what I wanted to do when I grow up, right? and I don't know how old you were, but you were still, beyond college, beyond maybe grad school, beyond those things, and had the career and the life. And like, what do I want to do when I grow up? I don't know. How do you figure that out? And so good for you for figuring that. I think that so many of us even don't figure it out. We get stuck in that corporate job or whatever it is, and we're just sort of stuck going, is this really what I want to do? And so I think it's what is so cool and kind of unintentionally, moves into, what you do and how you help people is helping people find the answers, right? That's already basically there. Is that a good way of saying it?
Yeah, the answer is there. We just have to shut up long enough and disentangle from everything that we're being told long enough in order to figure it out. And so that moment of being quiet on the couch, that moment of surrender, it was like the universe was saying, I use that term, I hope that's okay with people. The universe said, all right, she's finally listening. Send in the signals. But the signals and signs were always there.
Right.
I just never saw them.
Yeah.
They're always there.
Right.
And for anybody who feels like they're at this cusp of trying to figure out what makes their heart sing, what they want to do when they grow up, 2 pieces of advice for you. Number 1, surrender. Just say, okay, I give myself permission to do it. That is huge. That is so huge, because I was in my head trying to figure it out. I was such a control freak. I had to figure it out, and it wasn't working.
Yeah.
So number 1, surrender. And number 2, do what brings you joy. Just do what brings you joy.
Yeah. So here's where, and I don't know if this is gonna come across well, because what I know, because you say surrender, and I'm thinking about myself, right? I'm thinking about when I'm trying to make a decision, or when I was trying to figure out what I want to do with my life, or whatever it is. When you say surrender, what does that look like? Can you explain? And I know it's going to be different, but what does that look like?
It literally is just a moment. Sitting on a couch and giving myself permission. I literally just said, I am going to give myself permission once my younger son, once he was in school full time, I'm going to figure out what makes my heart sing. And it was just me talking to, I never really believed in God, but I felt like there was some sort of higher power out there. So I didn't even know who or what, and now the language of what I use is I call that the universe. I just said that in the sentence, alone, peaceful, by myself. For somebody else, it could be going for a walk by yourself at the ocean. And you just have this thought in your mind and then you're feeling in your heart that you're just so done with the way you've been, and that you just have this incredible feeling like, I know that everything that I've been experiencing is not me.
Yep.
I know it. I know I'm amazing. And just being so passionate and knowing and loving and just not able to give up, knowing and having that faith and declaring, that's it, I'm going to figure you out. I want to spend more time with you. That little spark that I feel inside, I want to spend more time with you. And then that's where you find those answers, because you feel that spark again when you're doing things that bring you joy. And it could be taking a moment longer to pet the cat. It could be throwing a frisbee with your kids in the park. It could be just going out on the deck or in your backyard in the morning, feeling the sun on the skin as you have your morning cup of coffee, cup of tea. And in those moments, just lingering there a little bit longer and hearing what comes up, feeling what comes up. And then here's the key. So you start to build that joy muscle of recognizing when joy feels good. And then as you go through your world and you discover new things, you look for things that feel like joy too. That's the energetic match. Ding, 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 ding. Yes, we have a match, the matching game for our kids. But you've got to attune to that feeling first in your heart and do it with the things that you know bring you joy. And then when you see these new things that come up, you know when it's a match. And that's the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, saying, come look here. Come look here.
I love that so much. And what I think that we have to realize as people, because that's the things we do, is we get stuck. We don't give ourselves permission. We don't give ourselves time to sit still. And that would, it can be for meditation. It can be sitting out in the sun. It can be walking in the grass, and the things that you said. So many things, the activities, the joys. I love playing frisbee with our dogs, and all of those things. But it's like a practice, right? It's a practice. I practice nutrition, and you practice, intuition and meditation and many other things. But it's like you said, it's building that muscle to allow yourself to sit still, allow yourself to hear, and to allow, for me it's God, but for God to speak to me, and for and anybody else who will listen. But it's that listening that it can be hard for me. I actually did a show with one of the other hosts in this station, and one of the things that he said to me, which I loved so much, was prayer is talking to God, meditation is allowing God to talk to you. Yeah. Isn't that cool? And I appreciate that so much.
And here's what came up for me. So as I dove into discovering these new things with meditation, with dowsing and using a pendulum, with automatic writing, especially with meditation is I love how a friend likened it to defragmenting your hard drive on your computer, right?
Yeah.
It's all gunked up and things get slow and clunky, and so
Yeah.
meditation helps with defragmenting. And when you get to those moments where you get 1 second, 2 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 glorious seconds of nothingness, what that does is it starts to allow for those 1, 5, 10 seconds of nothingness when you're out in your everyday. So I remember when I was new on meditation, I was standing in the kitchen cooking, and I got the inspiration. It's like, oh, let's bring this flavor in, and let's bring this flavor in, bring this flavor in. I had never done that before, but because I had just, with the practice of meditation, created that little bit of space of opening, it allowed the inspiration to come in. And that was like such a delicious meal, because I tried new things that I would never have explored before, because I was letting go of control.
That is such a beautiful way of putting it. For one, because food is delicious, right? But for two, because I can kind of, I was never a cook. And when I married my husband, poor thing, man, I made fish tacos one time. It took me like 3 hours to make fish tacos. I was like, it was ridiculous. But now I'm a good cook. I'm not a chef, a lot of things I don't know, but I'm good at putting flavors together, and that just came with, like you said, being open to trying them and paying attention, and a lot of tasting, which means I'm not hungry at dinner. But but I love that, because it's so relatable when you say it that way, as you're putting a meal together, because I almost never go by a recipe, and I know a lot of people do this, but and if you do go by a recipe, then take a step back and try not to, right? And open up and be open to trying the new things and letting that intuition guide you on what is good together. That's just such a great way of putting it. I think that's so perfect.
Well, and the whole thing is that we get so caught up in all of the doing and the way we've always done things, and we have such a programming of, we got to do this and we got to do that, the running narrative that's going on in our mind, that we don't slow down enough to pause and really understand what's going on inside of us at any point during the day. And then we wonder why, we push through because we've got so much to do. There's always lots to do, especially if you have a family or if you have pets or extended family you're responsible for, if you're running a business, if you're an entrepreneur, whatever, or if you're working in corporate or wherever, or maybe you're working 3 jobs, whatever it may be. You're so focused on the doing that you forget to stop and ask the most important question that there is to ask in our day. How am I?
Yeah.
And listen. We don't even know how to listen to what's going on in our body. And it's such a, and then we go to people like you and say, I've got all this going on, and I know that there's this ache and there's that, and you're like, well, how long? Well, I don't know. Because you've been shutting it down for so long, right?
Yeah.
And we've been disempowering ourselves. So I'm about recognizing what's really going on. How are you? What's going on inside of you? Tapping into a deeper inner knowing that we don't allow ourselves to listen to.
Yep. It's so interesting, because I believe, and I have a specific client in mind, but I believe that so much of our illness is really coming from our head, from so it's from the stress, from the not stopping, from the constant go, from the not relaxing, because it keeps your body in this sympathetic, right, or fight or flight place, and your cortisol stays elevated, and literally that shrinks your brain. And I'm going to tell you kind of a story, and this is just an insight, and maybe it's intuition, right? It's this is what I think has happened, but I have a client who has had major GI issues, like huge chronic issues. She could eat 7 foods it's been 4 or 5 or 6 years. And we've worked and we've tried, and I've referred her and all of these things. And she was going through, she has a son who is having pretty significant issues, just makes really bad decisions. And then her marriage was falling apart. And at this point, things are calm. She's remarried. And when I ask her how she's doing, she's like, I'm able to bring more foods in, and I think that I'm doing pretty well, and things are good. And I think that we could have tried everything in the world to make her feel better. But until she got past these things that were because the gut brain is connected. We talk about this all the time, right? We've got the vagus nerve, goes from the brain to the gut and back, and they speak to each other. And when there's that much trauma, I think there's a lot of trauma going on there, it affects every single part of you. And I truly believe that has been what's been going on with her. And it's something, going back to paying attention, thinking about your body. We don't listen to our bodies. We don't listen to symptoms. The symptoms are our bodies talking to us. They're saying, hey, I need you to pay attention because there's something going on here, right? Where there's headaches, brain fog, chronic pain, GI stuff. Take that time to sit with yourself, to ask God, ask the universe, what it is, be still, listen, and tune in. We're lacking that tune-in ability,
Yes, and that's why we're going to talk about how to check your inner battery.
Ooh, okay, let's do this. Sorry, go ahead. Were you going to say something?
No, that's perfect, yeah.
Okay, so let's take a quick break so that seems like a good spot to jump in on our sponsor that we have, and then we're going to go straight into checking the battery, because I'm excited about this one. I'm excited about a couple of things on here, but such fun. Okay, so we have a new sponsor, fairly new sponsor. This is Cellcore Biosciences. One of the most innovative and unique companies, supplement companies that I've come across to date. They are only, you can only get them through practitioners. They're very, very careful about where their supplements are sold, but they are intended to get to the places in our body that we don't typically get. And what I mean by that is we have toxic buildup, whether it's from environmental toxicants, whether it's from, it can be parasites, it can be worms, it can be bacteria, it can be all of these things that can create a toxic burden on our body. If it is, microbial, this is kind of gross, but I got to talk about it because it's important. Worms can be a big problem for people. Now, they can also be beneficial, believe it or not. Viruses can be beneficial. Bacteria are beneficial, but we want to have the right ones. We have a symbiotic relationship with microbes, and we have to understand that. But the wrong worm is a bad idea for the body, but they don't show up well on functional lab testing. And so when we're looking at things like that, they also can carry the toxicants that our body is holding on to. So it's kind of that double whammy. And so what a program like this does is they have what's called bioactive carbons, and it allows for the body to release. It allows for the lymphatic drainage and the detoxification and all of these things to happen, because if you don't do these things in a certain manner and in a certain stepped phase approach, I guess, then you're just kind of, you're chasing your tail, and it doesn't work properly. And so the way this company works is it gets down to the deepest parts to work on the body, and then comes up and out. And it's amazing. I mean, they've had success with things like Parkinson's disease and Lyme's disease, and these incredibly chronic, debilitating conditions that are likely because the body is unable to handle the burden that it's got. And so this helps to reduce that burden and get rid of these things. So anyway, I get excited about it because there's no company, as far as I know, I do a pretty good amount of research, there's no company like this. And so I'm stoked to have them as a sponsor of the show, and I think that they're amazing. So if you're interested in it, then you got to reach out to me, because you can only get it through me or other practitioners. But you can ask other practitioners if it's something that they use, because it's awesome stuff. So let's move on. Let's talk about the battery check. Yes.
I am on a mission to teach 1 million people how to check their inner battery as often as they check their cell phone battery.
What number are you on? What number?
I'm at about 25,000 right now.
Woo! Awesome. Okay.
I have to go back and check all the interviews I've done to see what the numbers are at, but about 25,000 so far. And I'm going to be publishing a book to teach people about this too. I'm really, really passionate. And what I believe is that when people can learn what's going on inside of them, they know who to reach out to for support, and they're able to communicate with you better what's going on so that you can help them get to a place of wellness faster. So
awesome.
I'm so excited for this conversation with you here. So with this inner battery check, you are going to want to have a pen and paper handy to write down how you're feeling. And we're going to ask 4 questions. And the 4th one, you can decide if it resonates with you. If not, that's fine. We'll stick with the 3. The intention is to go inside and ask yourself how you're feeling in these 4 areas. And as you do on a regular basis, now, to get the most out of this process, you need to check in at least 3 times a day. Ideally, even more than that, between tasks. Because when you do it more often, you get greater awareness.
Sure.
You start to recognize when people trigger you, when foods are impacting you. Because you're saying, how am I feeling? And then it's like, oh, I don't feel so good. Oh, it must have been the whatever I just had at lunch, and you're able to make that connection, right? You can start to recognize when the seasons changing impact you. Like up here in Canada, a lot of people get affected by seasonal affective disorder, right? Because of the lack of sunshine in the winter time. And I realized, I think it was 2 winters ago, that it was a more dull and gray winter. I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm feeling really low. And I made the connection, oh my goodness, it's because I need more sunshine. So I was able to take action and make sure I got outside more on the sunny days. Anyways, you start to make connections between what's going on and how you're feeling. And as you make this a disciplined practice, you start to notice that your productivity goes up. You start to be able to, I'll teach you how to boost your inner battery as well, so that you can make sure you're showing up as the best version of yourself. It changes your relationships because you're happier, you're less stressed out because you know what's going on. You start to be able to communicate what's going on with you, with people that are in your life, so they know, okay, she needs a bit of a break because she's not feeling hot, or okay, she needs help because she's got all this going on. And it also helps you with having more compassion for yourself. Because you start to be gentler and realizing, whoa, okay, I'm a 4 right now. Maybe I shouldn't plow through what I've got on my deck for the afternoon, or whatever it may be. So whether you are able to boost your inner battery so you can take on what you need to take on, or to shift your day so that you can have the capacity to do what you need to do. Because when you just try to push through, it ends up taking longer and it's not so good. And then it's like, why am I spending so much time on this?
What I love about this too, that's kind of what I think anyway, is when you're doing this, it's also that time where you slow down, right? And it's maybe not really quite a meditation. And I've not done this, I don't even know anything about it. I just want y'all to know, so this is new to me right now, except for her talking about it. But it goes back to taking a few minutes to be still, which is really, really important for a body.
You know, when I first started my business back in 2008, I remember working with a coach saying, I just want to have 2 minutes to breathe. But I did not value myself enough to give myself those 2 minutes.
Right.
I felt like I had all this stuff to do. Now it's like, Frank, if I need a 40-minute nap, I'm going to take a 40-minute nap. Or if I'm going to do meditation, whatever fills my cup. Because I know that if I try to push through and I don't know if you've ever had times where maybe you haven't slept well and you try to push through and you just feel like you want to throw up. It's just like, what's the point?
Right. Yeah.
What's the point? There is no point.
There is no point. And what we have to remember is, if we are not taking care of ourselves, we can't take care of anybody else. If we go down, it affects a lot of people, right? The people in your family, your job, the whole thing. Yeah.
So there's a couple of things happens with that? It's not only that we can't take care of anybody else, but we're not being a good role model for others. And who we're being in that taking care of, how good are we if we're all cranky and yelling at people and are taking care of them, and then we're resentful because they're so depleted,
right?
And trying to get it done. Like think about if you're running on a laptop, right? You're using your laptop and you have like a gazillion tabs open and your battery's shrinking and you can see the wheel of death as things churn and take longer to process and do. Same thing happens within us too.
Yeah.
Same thing happens within us too.
So interesting. Yep.
This is so juicy. It's so simple. And please, 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 if you love this, mention it in the comments of the podcast.
Yes.
Say, yes, I get this. Say, yes, I'm going to use it. Like, even when my clients, this is so foundational for entrepreneurs especially. If you can learn how to master the skill, it is a high performance skill. It teaches something called active awareness, which is the same thing that Olympic athletes, high performing C-suite C-suite professionals do before they show up for their big presentations, for their competitions. You have to have this awareness of what's going on within yourself and what's going on around you so you can know who to be and know if you need to do something to shift so you can be that best version of yourself.
I love
because
that.
Think about how conversations go when you feel fabulous compared to when you feel, whoa.
Yeah. Huge
Makes
difference.
a big difference.
Huge difference. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Super simple. So what you're going to want to do is you are going to want to write down on your piece of paper, physically, emotionally, mentally, and on each line you want to also give a little bit of space to be able to write something, and then spiritually. So 4 lines, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And now I'm going to invite you to take a pause and close your eyes. And take a nice deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And I like to put my hand on my heart because it helps me go within and ask yourself, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being low, 10 being high, how do I feel physically right now? And it's the first number that comes to you. And then write down a few words around why you are rating yourself that number. So I gave myself an 8.5, and I'm going to be completely transparent here. Before I logged on to begin our conversation, I was about a 5. It's just like, oh, that's interesting. So I went outside, got barefoot on the grass, because this is what I know works for me to help bring up my numbers. And I went up a notch. I was like, okay, just a few breaths here. Feel the sun on my skin. And it's just like, okay, still not boosting up enough. It's like, how about if I turn myself so I feel the full sun on all of my face, not just on the side of my face. And I turn and then whoop, energy right up to like a 10.
Awesome.
So it's incredible how that little shift of the sun full on my face made the difference.
Yeah, the sun is such a big, big deal. We demonize the sun. We're afraid of the sun. The sun gives us so much. Stop wearing sunscreen every day. Get out, walk in the grass, get in the sun. It doesn't matter how fair your skin is. Just get out in it for a little while. I'm out in it pretty regularly, but I'm darker skinned. People with autoimmune diseases have to have the sun. We've got to get out in the sun. Sorry, it's tangent, but it's so important because people just don't do it. They're so afraid
Really
of
good,
it.
really good.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
Next question, pausing, closing your eyes, going inside again. I like to have my hand on my heart, taking a breath, and getting present to your heart, your emotions, and asking yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 is low, 10 is high, how do I feel emotionally right now? First number that comes to you. And it's interesting what we can discover with this check-in. So right now, I got a 9 because I love what we're jamming about here, and I love the direction of the conversation and how it's flowing. It's just phenomenal. It just fills my cup. But there's one time I was leading a presentation with an amazing group of women. It was pre-COVID. I was there talking to this wonderful group. I'm in the middle of the presentation, taking them through exactly what I'm teaching you here, and I check in. It was May. It was just before Mother's Day, and I got that I was a 7. I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I asked why, and I miss my mom.
Aww.
Now, my mom's still with us, and I had gone to visit my mom the weekend before Mother's Day so I could have Mother's Day for myself. But I got that it was so important for me to still see her for Mother's Day. And so that was an easy fix. I went and I called up Mom and said, guess what, you get to see me 2 weekends in a row. And she was delighted and I was happy. But because I hadn't checked into and gotten that awareness, what could have happened was I could snap at people and not know why, what that undercurrent is. I could just have this little bit of sadness or maybe, be there on Mother's Day doing what I wanted to do and maybe feeling like, this isn't quite as great as I hoped it would be because I miss my mom and I just needed to see her. Aww. So that little check-in allowed me to shift. Now, sometimes things can happen early in our day. Maybe you get one of those crazy phone calls from somebody who's trying to say, you've got a virus on your computer and it's one of those scam calls, and maybe that just makes you angry, and then you go and you tell your husband or whoever, and then you tell whoever when you call whoever later on, and you're carrying that energy with you throughout your day.
Yep.
And you don't even realize it. Or, if you're out driving and out and about, we're still kind of restricted here in Canada, but where you are, maybe you're out and about a lot, and maybe you're back at work, and maybe you get cut off in the morning, and that you're carrying that with you throughout the day, and you don't even realize it, and it makes you all mad at that person that always comes and so yucky, and it sets you off because you're depleted and you're mad and you're carrying that energy.
Yeah,
and it's taking away from your joy.
I love that. Again, it goes back to just paying attention, which we need to try to do more of. I need to do more of it. Yeah, pay attention. Yeah.
All right. Next question. So close your eyes again, go inside, and we're going to come up to your head. And we want to know on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel mentally right now? And also get present to what are some of the thoughts that are going on up there? What's been on replay in your mind so far today? Are they positive? Are they stressing you out? Is it worry? Is it doubt? Is it excitement and possibility? What is the loop that's playing on in your head? How does your brain feel? If I was to give you a problem to solve right now, is it going to be easy for you? Are you clear thinking? Or are you really foggy and scattered and all over the place? What's going on in your head? Really good. All right. And then this last question is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel spiritually? So if you close your eyes and go within, and this is about your connection to whatever higher power it is that you believe in. If it's God, if it's Allah, Buddha, the universe, whatever it may be. It could be faith that things are going to work out. It could be your purpose or whatever higher power you believe in, or even your just your higher self. Whatever that is for you, what that connection is. And maybe you don't resonate with this question. You don't have to ask. You don't have to go there. But if it does resonate, check in to see how you're feeling spiritually. And you might be surprised, if you're somewhere where you haven't been able to be connecting with your spiritual community and you're realizing, oh my goodness, I didn't realize how much that's impacting me. Maybe your number's a little lower. Or maybe you meditate and you had a phenomenal meditation, you feel really deeply connected within. And so you're rated really high. You can see, I can see how important my meditation is for part of my everyday practice that I need to do in order to feel good. So what did you discover, Nikki?
So, we kind of went over this a little bit, but, so I'm feeling, physically I put an 8. I actually have a little bit of a headache. Don't know why. But I'm super prone to headaches I've got some curvature in my spine anyway. But so that's kind of sitting there. I'm usually pretty good at getting adjusted. But yeah, it's just kind of sitting there. Emotionally is a 7. And I said, because there is some sadness at, what the family's having to go through. But so much gratitude at the same time. It's that interesting place of sadness and gratitude. And then we have, I guess another layer to that is every year we have our annual family reunion up in the mountains. And so that's next week. And so there's this in between where we know some people aren't going to be there and some people may not be able to get to go because it's all of this kind of crazy dynamic that is, it just sort of sits on you, and it's hard and it's sad. It is. So mentally was an 8. And I think it's an 8, I feel pretty mentally there and aware, but there is those things. There's work that kind of looms and gets my mind going. There's the family stuff that gets your mind going. Spiritually is an 8. I feel very connected, but I'm always working to learn more and be more connected to God and to Christ and that kind of thing. So there's a lot of work to do there, but I feel the connection, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And that's really good awareness. And that's what the key is for this, is you are expanding your self-awareness. And here's what happens as you start to do this regularly. Your intuition also expands. Because you start to recognize when there's an intuitive sense of sentience, where you get that gut feeling and you get the physical sensation. Sometimes I get goosebumps, which I call truth bumps, which is confirmation. You start to recognize different ways that your body talks to you. You start to recognize what's going on in your head and whose words are those. Is it the ego? Is it, yourself, your higher self? Is it God? Is it your soul? Whatever that higher power is that you feel speaks to you, through you in your thoughts sometimes. Is it an intuitive thought? It helps you with discerning what it is. And ultimately, that deeper inner connection is what's going to help guide us on our path and navigate through our day and be there for our family. Help us to hold the faith when we're navigating through these difficult, unusual situations, like we're still working our way through the tail end of it right now.
Right.
And I want to give people a bit of perspective on how to interpret the information that they have. So on a scale of 1 to 10, we've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's where you are in this mode of you're suffering. If you are constantly in those levels, you're suffering, and you really need to get some support. So whether, maybe you had food poisoning, and so you kind of know how to navigate through that. Maybe you're going to be a 3 or 2 while you're navigating through that. Maybe you are going through some grief, and so there's going to be some times where your numbers are going to be low, and you know why, and it just is part of the natural healing process that you need to give yourself the space and the grace to move through it, not pushing through, right? Mm-hmm. But if you're 1, 2, 3, or 4, you're suffering. If you're 5, 6, or 7, you're surviving. And you're going between the surviving mode, and then 8, 9, and 10, you are thriving. So when you're in the surviving, you kind of waver between that almost thriving and then going down, dipping down just towards suffering. And every moment we have a choice of who we want to be and how we want to show up. And this is where the self-compassion comes in. Because as you start to recognize that, all right, I'm feeling a little lower today, then okay, what do I need to feel better? And that's when you reach for something to feel better. So for me, I went outside barefoot on the grass, did some deep breaths, had the sun on my skin. Whoosh, I know how that impacts me. Sometimes it's as simple as getting a drink of water. for me, if I'm getting a headache, I know that I'm low in water and I'm low in my electrolytes.
Yep.
I'm getting dehydrated.
Yep.
I don't get a headache. I rarely get headaches outside of that. So you start to make the connection between what is a simple boost that you can do. Maybe it's being creative. I keep some Lego on my desk to have as a little creative outlet.
I love that.
To help boost my energy. So playing guitar, dancing, going for a run, doing some stretches, just watching a funny cat video. That has scientifically been proven to help you feel better, by the way, if you're wondering.
I love that, and I do notice that because I'm a dog person, and if I'm doing my marketing or whatever on Facebook, wherever I am, and they have the dog. Okay, so the other day, a couple of days ago, they had a dog thing where it's a dog's have your dog kiss your dog. That's what it was. It was kiss your dog. So cute. And so people would kiss their dog, and the dog would sit there, and then half of them would either nose them or kiss them back, or they would throw their head in their, dog parents' lap, and anyway, it was the cutest thing. I couldn't stand it, and I sat there and watched them. Like, I don't have the time to watch this. Oh, but I did. Like, I made the time to watch it because it was amazing. It was so great.
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm. So and that's like connecting in with the animal energy too, connecting in with nature. There was one video, my husband says, oh, you've got to watch this. And it was this magnificent video of an owl doing its hoot.
Oh.
And it was about 2 minutes long, and it was calling to its mate that was over in another tree. So it was a beautiful setting. I don't know how they got this photography. It was just incredible. But you see the wind making the branches go up and down, and the owls being steady, and you see it puffing up its feathers, and then and it was just majestic and captivating, and it was so incredible connecting in with nature in that way. It was phenomenal.
I love that. I'm an animal person by nature, and that is what makes me happy. Is if I'm going to watch something and smile or even cry, it's going to be the animal stuff.
And that's the thing, to know what works for you.
Right.
So I encourage you to try this. All of my clients, when I reconnect with my clients, the thing that I always hear back is, I still check my inner battery. That is something I always do. They recognize the difference of who they are when they do it consistently versus who they aren't, and they're not willing to go back to that person anymore.
I saw that on your website. You had some testimonials, and that's what they said was, I still check my inner battery. And I love that. And what I want to do, because I want to ask you, for one, we're going to give your website and that kind of thing away. We've got a couple other things we want to talk about. We've only got like 12 minutes left, which is crazy, or a little less. We got to stop a little bit early. But I want people to have, do you have a place on your, should have asked you this earlier, but a place on your website where you have this list that people can go to? Because I would use this for my clients. Every client, I would give them the handout and say, check this on a regular basis. I think that's amazing.
Yeah, so if you go to my website, jlyall.com/energy, it's a 7-day energy transformation, and I walk you through how to do the check-in. And so for every day, for 7 days, I'm in your inbox reminding you to check your inner battery.
Oh, I love that.
And going a little bit deeper on different things to do to really get present physically, really get present emotionally, and a few things to think about for where you can find ways for how you can boost your inner battery too.
Awesome. Cool. That's amazing. I'm going to use that. And so I have it here. What we'll do is we'll put that link in the comments, at least in the Facebook comments. I don't know if we can do it for the station, but we can do it for the... Yeah, go ahead.
So I can spell it out. It's jlyall.com/energy.
So easy. You got to make it easy, right?
Yes.
Awesome. Very cool. I'm going to do that too. I'm going to make myself a
And
note.
so the key is you want to do it for 10 weeks to really get it to be a habit, a solid habit of checking in. I started out just checking in the morning, and that was good awareness, and then I added checking in the evening, and that was good, and then I did 3 times a day, and that expanded things. But it wasn't until in this last 18 months that I started checking in multiple times a day that I really started to get the awareness of like, oh, so that's fine that I might start off really amazing at the beginning of the day, but then something midday sends you sideways and that tanks your whole day. I needed to come back and check in and boost my energy before I took action, because it just made me so much more productive. Because otherwise it'd be like, oh, you know, I've got to do this writing and I feel like crap. It's like, okay, why waste my time with writer's block when I can just take 10 minutes instead, boost my inner battery, whether it's going for a walk, grabbing a cup of tea, putting on my favorite music, feeling good. That's when the creative juices will start flowing. And then it just gets way easier. So you get way more productive.
I love that. I love that. So yeah, go to, we will post it, but go to that link, and I just think that's amazing. So yay, I'm excited about that. Let's talk a little bit about how you work with businesses, how you work with women, and you know, kind of give a little detail about. I know you know in your bio you talk about helping businesses make, you know, $1 million decisions, and I was, you know, kind of doing some marketing on what you do, and it's amazing because I know I certainly don't have $1 million business, but there are decisions that I have to make, and sometimes I don't know how to make them. And I can imagine if you have $1 million plus business, you know, how big these decisions are. So let's talk a little bit about how you do that and some successes and whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. So the foundation of how I work with my clients is really getting them to master this process. And I know it is so super simple, but it's just like, well, everyone knows how to be healthy, like the core essence of it. You eat well and you exercise. How many people do that? They don't. So a lot of the foundation of the work that I do is teaching people how to master their energy using this process of checking your inner battery. I hold them accountable to what it is that they want to create in their life and to doing this energy check. And as they document, I have them go way deeper into what their awareness is and how they're behaving. They start to recognize the patterns. So I help my clients that are faced with big decisions. I had one client who was building a big resort down in Costa Rica, and they were having difficulties with finding financial backing. And so in my session with her, you know, I was able to help guide her to tune into other possibilities and where she could find that backing. Another client has a multi-million-dollar business in the nuclear industry, and she has to look at succession planning. And so I was helping her to tune in, to guide her through that inner knowing, helping her, because everybody I talk to, they're like, oh, I don't know what to do. And she's like, oh, come on, hold on a second here. And we talk through and I help them mirror back to them what their intuition is saying, but they just don't want to trust. Another client of mine, she was trying to evaluate. She's a multipreneur, and she was trying to evaluate what to do. She had this new business she wanted to start up. She was looking at signing a lease for this new space that she needed. And then she said, oh, I had this other invitation to work for somebody else to bring this business to life, but I don't think I'm going to go for it. And so as we were talking, so it's like, okay. She didn't tell me what the business was. She was being private, and I totally respect that. And I said, okay, I don't know what this means, but what's coming up for me is, you know how, this was an example that was relevant at the time, there were little wine shops. It was a separate entity within a grocery store because of the way the liquor board is here in Canada. So it was like a little wine store within the grocery store. I said, you know how there's like that? I'm getting that's a good thing to explore. And she's like, huh, interesting. That's exactly what the other organization, they had an established space and they just wanted me to run my business out of their space, but I didn't think it was a good idea. So she ended up saying yes to that. She saved tens of thousands of dollars on the leasehold improvements she was going to have to do on that space, and also didn't get stuck in a long lease. So she was able to pilot the project and ended up not moving forward in the long run, but she was able to pilot the project and test it out and saved herself tens of thousands of dollars.
Wow. How cool.
So I am all about people learning how to expand their self-awareness so they can understand what's going on and really master what's going on up here, because so much of it is entanglement from other people's stories and gunk from the past And I also do energy clearing with helping to release that. And sometimes it can be kind of like Reiki. I have my own modality. I've been working with energy since I was 4. Or it could be through the conversation that people get the ahas of the connections of whose story it is that's really controlling their life, and letting it go and stepping into a more powerful way of being.
So do you work with only women, or do you work with men and women?
I have had some male clients, but 90% of my clients are women.
Yeah, same here. I have men clients as well, but it's something, I don't know what that is, but.
Well, women tend to be more proactive with their health, and that's just it's just typical. If you ask how many men actually even just go to the doctor, let alone reach out to another complementary healthcare practitioner, right? So
yeah, interesting. Well, I love that, and I love everything that you're about and everything that you do, and I just think that this has been such an amazing conversation. I know we need to jump off just a couple of minutes early because you have big things to do, and it's very important. So what I want you to talk about, where you can be found, any details that you want to give that that are going to bring people to you. I think it's important that people find help like you.
Yeah, thank you. So just going to my website, jlyall.com, and then from there you'll see the link to my Instagram and my Facebook page. So you'll be able to learn a little bit more about what I've got coming up and how I might be able to support you and just get some good juju for how you can stay energized and your energy expanded, and so you can feel confident and courageous as you are out there in the world too.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for all of this. This has just been so fun. We'll hope to have you on again and do some more of the fun stuff. So thank you for joining us. I'm Nikki Burnett. Taste Life Nutrition is my company, functional nutritionist. I work with all kinds of people, but I work with a lot of autoimmune, gut dysfunction, that kind of thing, fertility. I love fertility. This is a really fun one. So you can go to my website. I have a free assessment on my website that you can go to, fill it out, and I reach out to you personally. So we talk about, what is it that's going on? Are there things that we can do to help you move into that place where you're feeling good and feeling comfortable and can be your best successful you? Another thing I would like to say real quick is I have co-created a course and a Facebook group that I would really love for you to join. It is for women, so you men out there, it doesn't mean that you should not give this information to women that you love. You should, because this is an amazing group that we're building for support to help women to find their truth in their health. What is it that's holding them back? Why do they have the chronic pain, the fatigue, the brain fog? What's going on with them? And we want to help to support and share and give information, as well as receive information. We want to learn. We want to go through this journey with everybody within this group. So please go to the Facebook group is called Body Bliss Lifestyle Design for the Busy Woman. Join it and tell everybody about it, because we're going to have some fun in it. We've got some challenges in it and some information. We give away a free recipe book that I created, as well as some meditations. So thank you, all of you. Thank you so much, Jennifer. This was amazing. And everybody, we'll see you in a couple of weeks.